Hey, we're glad you joined us again for Studio 23 Nashville. Boy, do we have a superstar for you today. Ronnie McDowell is going to be with us. Got an Elvis connection, a Conway Twitty connection, a Kentucky Headhunters connection.
And a Walt Disney connection.
Oh, Mickey Mouse too. Hey, you hit the jackpot today.
Yeah.
Welcome to Studio 23 Nashville with your hosts, Jennifer Herron and Brian Cumming. Today's very special guest is Ronnie McDowell.
Hi, welcome to Studio 23 Nashville. I'm Jennifer Herron.
I'm Brian Cumming, and we're very happy to have with us tonight an amazing songwriter, singer, and painter I just discovered tonight. He's very talented. We're going to look at some of his paintings, Mr. Ronnie McDowell.
Live and in color.
Yes, from Portland, Tennessee.
Population, as I said on Hee Haw, 3,476. Salute.
Woohoo! I tell ya, that's a strawberry capital here, right, in Tennessee?
Is, yes, a strawberry capital of the world. But I have since then learned that, let's see, Plant City, Florida is, and also down in one of my heroes, Scotty Moore, down in Jackson, Tennessee. They have that motto as well. But Portland, Tennessee, when I was a little kid, I used to pick strawberries, and I would take my money and go to the carnival. And one night I sneaked in, I'm gonna tell y'all this, at 12 years old, I sneaked under the tent and I went into the Hoochie Coochie show.
What is it like? I've heard about that. Can you tell us?
Brian, his blood pressure just went up. Calm down.
Hoochie Coochie.
You remember the Hoochie Coochie show?
Ooh, so
Boy, the chief of police found me and he grabbed me by the ear, I swear, and he took me out by the ear and he goes, "Don't you ever come in here again, boy."
wow.
But wow,
So they
what
had
an
a Hoochie
awakening
Coochie
at
show
12.
in Portland, Tennessee. It came to your little town.
They did. The carnival went everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But you can imagine the hormones are flying.
And were you singing by that point? You were loving music by the age of 12.
At 6.
Yeah.
No,
At
let me go back to 4.
Yeah.
I was walking around the house in 1953 singing Hank Williams. I'm the world's biggest Hank Williams fan.
Really? Now, I don't
Yes.
know if folks would know that about you right away. Hank Williams.
Oh, Hank Williams is my ultimate country hero. Let me tell y'all this. I was at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi a few years ago. Got a phone call. "Ronnie, I want you to come and celebrate my 80th birthday with me. There's going to be 11 of us. You're number 12. You know who that was? George Jones. Wow. So I went next door, and George and I got to hang out with George on his 80th birthday. So we were sitting there, and he goes, "You know who my hero is, don't you?" And I said, "George, I know everything about you." And he goes, "Who's my hero?" And I said, "My hero, Hank Williams." He goes, "That's right, son." You know, he got up and he hugged me, and he goes, "I love you, son." I wouldn't take anything for that. And that's a God's truth.
Amazing the connections you've had over the years.
I know. Have I been blessed or what?
You really have.
I mean, I was telling these guys tonight, in 1984, Dick Clark called me. And he goes, "Ronnie, I'm flying you out to L.A. You're going to be on American Music Awards, and you're going to give Michael Jackson his award for his Thriller album." And I never will forget, I'm standing out there, and Lionel Richie, who I love, he goes, "And from Portland, Tennessee, here's Ronnie McDowell." So I open up the envelope, and I go, "And the winner is Michael Jackson." You can Google that. And Michael walks out, and he takes it, and he lays that envelope on the podium, and I'm on the side of the stage, and I'm going like, if he don't get that, I'm going to get it.
You deserve a souvenir. Oh,
And that's
how
the biggest
exciting.
album of all time now, the
Yes.
Thriller album.
And you were there. You were the guy that announced it. How amazing.
I'm the guy that got to do that. Think about that. Nobody can take that away from me.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
And such good friendships you had over the years. You know, I mentioned earlier Conway Twitty and
Oh,
you.
wow.
Big buddies.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Conway seemed to know always what was better for you, though, I think sometimes. and you
Conway
knew it
was not only my
yeah.
mentor and my friend, but he was like my dad. Hey, trust me, he would get on to me. In Baltimore, he called me on his bus and he goes, "You are not a comedian. All you need to do is stand there and sing them songs." And I said, "Conway, You've had 40-something #1 records. I've had 2. I got to dazzle them somehow.
And he was also like a publisher for you. He kept bringing you songs.
He kept giving me songs, and I told this at Conway's funeral. I told y'all backstage.
Yeah.
And the first song he gave me on my 29th birthday party, never will forget this. Can you imagine Conway Twitty coming to your birthday party? He's spinning a 45 on his record. Now, this is exactly what he did. He goes, now don't you pay attention to the guy that sang this song. It didn't work for him. You pay attention to the song. And he was very affirmative. And I said, all right. And he said, you take this home and listen to it, and if you like it, it's yours. And if you don't, I'm going to do it. I brought it back the next day, and I said, Conway, I don't really care for that. He said, then I'm going to do it. Happy birthday, darling.
He could pick them.
#1 record, huge #1 record. So after I heard that, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I do that song? So I told you, in Louisville, Kentucky, on the bus, just
Story
me and
goes
Conway.
on, yep.
Conway was sitting across from me, and he goes, now, you turned down a #1 record. I found you another one. I said, well, what is it? And he said, well, let me sing a little of it for you. He said, I'm telling you, this is a hit. Now, imagine Conway looking me right in the eye.
Like you two guys, yeah.
Yeah, and Conway looked me right in the eye, and he goes, there's a lot of ways of saying what I want to say to you. Well, there's songs and poems and promises and dreams that might come true. But I won't speak of starry skies or moonlight on the ground. I'll come right out and tell you I'd just love to lay you down. And I went,
Brian's eyebrows
Conway,
came up.
that's the dirtiest song I ever heard in my life. I said, who's going to play a song like that? And he said, I told you it was about a man and his wife. And I said, I don't care. That's the dirtiest song I ever heard. Huge #1 record for Conway Twitty.
Huge. Oh,
Who wrote that one?
Lane Martin Jr., I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
So anyway, not long after that, in Hendersonville, Tennessee, I jumped out of my old Ford pickup truck at Center Point Barbecue, which is still there. It started in 1965. I never will forget, I jumped out of my old truck, and here come Conway spinning gravel. Jumped out of his brand new Mercedes. He goes, funny I should run into you tonight. I said, why is that? And he said, I got a song for you. I said, give me that sucker. I don't care what it's
You were ready to take it.
Third time is going to be the charm.
So one day, this is the God's truth. I was with him for 8 years, opening up his shows.
Yeah.
And one day I said, Conway, I got to ask you something. He said, what's that, son? I said, well, how come you always giving me songs to do? And he goes, because I believe in you, son. Now, let me ask you this. Do I need any other accolades from the music business or anybody? If Conway
huge.
Twitty tells you he believes in you, why in God's name would I need anything else? Here's a guy that had 50-something #1 records. And not only that, when I was 8 years old, and we did this earlier, you know, and I was listening to a big old radio that my mother had, and I heard this refrain, people see us everywhere. They think you really care. I never dreamed, how could I have wrapped my mind around that I would know this guy and he'd be like my dad? I got to tell y'all this. In 1958, I'm at the Liberty Theater. I lied to my daddy. I told my daddy there was a monster movie on called King Creole. Well, he didn't like Elvis. All those people from the Depression, they didn't like Elvis. I'm 8 years old. I thought Elvis was the bomb, I'm telling you. So he let me go. Now, I'm 8. I guess we could go to the movies back then at 8. Well, here's Elvis, 30 feet tall in black and white. The Jordanaires, Scotty Moore, DJ Fontana, they were all in the movie with him. Now, what if somebody had tapped me on my little 8-year-old shoulder and said, you see those Jordanaires up there? They're going to be on your first #1 record, Older Women Make Better Lovers. And you see Elvis Presley, you're going to be his voice in movies. 12 movies, as a matter of fact. You see DJ Fontana, his drummer, he's going to be your friend of 40 years. How could I have, again, wrapped my mind around that?
Yeah.
And then Priscilla Presley called me. And she goes, Ronnie, I've got a #1 book called Elvis and Me. I want you to be Elvis's voice. I did 37 songs in that movie. Now, everywhere I go, everybody goes, hey, what's she like? And I go, I don't have a clue, but I know what she don't like because I tried that. I'm just kidding.
I want to get the scoop on that and some more stories and this whole Elvis connection and how it sparked your career. Coming up next on Studio 23 Nashville.
Hickman County, Tennessee. It feels a lot like home, or how home should feel. Come by, sit a spell. Soak in the goodness that inspired Minnie Pearl to write about this special place. Visit Hickman County, Tennessee's hidden treasure. All of us here at Studio 23 Nashville would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Visit Hickman County, the Hickman County Department of Tourism. World Music Nashville. Expedia Cruise Ship Centers, Nashville West. And the Law Office of Lavelle Glanton.
I want to ask you about Conway Twitty.
Well, I got to tell you now, Conway was not only my mentor and my friend, but he was my icon.
Yeah.
In 1977, I was on the road. This is the craziest thing. I was on the road. I had this big, huge hit record called The King Is Gone about Elvis.
Yeah.
Well, one of the first shows I did was with Miss Teenage America.
Yeah.
Prettiest thing you ever seen in your life. She looked like a little Cupid doll. And her name was Jessica James. So after the show, we got to talking, and she said, you know, my name's not really Jessica James. I said, well, what is it? And she said, Kathy Twitty. I said, you know, you kin to Conway Twitty. She goes, that's my daddy. She was just 17. She was absolutely...
Miss Teenage America.
Yes, Miss Teenage
The
America.
daughter of Conway.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
But if you could have seen her back then, you would have understood. She was beautiful. Of course, she sang good, too. And so I said, I would love to meet your dad. He's one of my heroes. She said, you come to Hendersonville Monday morning. I lived there. Well, actually, I lived in my hometown of Portland, which is only a few miles from Hendersonville.
Yeah.
She said, you come Monday morning and I'll introduce you to my dad. Well, I went there, and back in those days, the status symbol was how thick your shag carpet was. Well, Conway's was about that thick, and I never will forget it. Everywhere I stepped, I made a step. And it was white carpet. And I walked up to his front desk, and there he was. And he stood up, and he looked like 10 movie stars. And I was so in awe, and I went, Conway, and he goes, son, how would you like to open up my shows? And I said, twist my arm. And I did for 8 years.
Yeah.
And we bonded right then.
Yeah.
And he was such a mentor for me.
And you chose It's Only Make Believe as a single for yourself. And
I did. I told you this story earlier. I was driving down the road one day, and it just came to me. But it's only make believe. And I said, what is that? And I told my band, the Kentucky Headhunters. People don't know that about me. But they were my band for 8 years. We went in and recorded it.
Yeah.
I played it for Conway, and I told you that story. He jumped up out of his chair and he said, boy, put that out. That's a hit. This is the way he talked. He was very affirmative. Yeah. And I said, but I want you to sing on it. He said, you don't need me on that song. That's a hit without me. And I said, but think about this. If I go, take it, Conway, and you start singing, it'll give people chills, Conway. Talked him into it. When it got in the top 5, my phone rang. Ronnie, this is Conway. Like I didn't know who Conway was. I said, yes, sir. And he said, I've been thinking about it, son, and you did need me on that record. And that's how it went.
I love that. A duet with Conway. It's Only Make Believe. I'm going to give you
You're going to be
little,
Conway.
I'll give it what I can.
All right.
All right.
people see us everywhere. They think you really care. For myself, I can't deceive. I know it's only make-believe. My one and only prayer is that someday you'll care. My only prayer will be someday you'll care for me. But it's only make-believe. My one and only prayer is that someday you'll care. My hopes and my dreams come true. My one and only you. You rule my very soul. My heart I can't control. My only prayer will be someday you'll care for me. But it's only make-believe. Take it, Conway.
My one and only prayer is that someday you'll care. My hopes and dreams come true. My one and only you. You are my very soul. My heart I can't control.
My only prayer will be someday you'll care for me. But it's only make-believe.
Let's do that little tagline.
But it's only make-believe. One more time.
I'm going to give you a little stop.
But it's only make-believe. Yeah.
Ronnie, I gotta
Good
thank
job.
you. I gotta thank you for giving me the chance to pretend to be Conway Twitty.
Well, you did good.
Oh man. Oh, no, no.
All I got to hear is this. Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. I can't get that hello. And Conway, he was such an icon with the hair and the jumpsuits and the. Now, isn't it true his real name was
Harold Jenkins.
Did he officially change his name?
He did, and I said, Conway, where'd you get that name? And he said, well, you know, back in those days, he said, you had to have a different name. He said, I don't think people would take to Harold Jenkins. He said, so I had to come up with something. He said, you got to remember, Elvis Presley. He said, when Elvis came out, everybody was going, what kind of name is that? Elvis Presley. Yeah. So he said, I come up going to Texas, and I saw Twitty, Texas. And he said, so that's my last name. He said, so what am I going to do for a first name? So he said, I'm driving through Arkansas, and I saw Conway, Arkansas. And that's how it began.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
One of a kind.
I'm telling you.
With a little bit of Texas, a little bit of Arkansas, and a whole lot of Mississippi.
And it don't get no better than my buddy, Conway Twitty.
I want to know about the movie that you made about Elvis.
Okay, well, the first one I did was with Kurt Russell. Dick Clark called me. I was on American Bandstand. I got to tell y'all this. He said, I was in Baton Rouge. He said, there's a private jet for you. You get on it. You're going to be on American Bandstand tomorrow. You're number 9 on the pop charts. I said, who is this? He said, this is Dick Clark. And then I realized it was him. I got on that jet. He said, now you get some sleep. I didn't sleep a friggin' wink. Yeah. It's okay if I say friggin'. So anyway, so I didn't sleep a wink. I landed at the LA airport, got on a helicopter, and we landed at the ABC lot. Rushed me into makeup. Dick Clark walked up to me, and they're putting makeup on my face. I'm 26. And he walked up to me and he goes, Ronnie, you're number 9 on the pop charts. He said, that's why you're here. And I said, Mr. Clark, I've been watching you since 1957. I said, I'm so glad y'all pantomime, because I just wrote this song and I don't know it that well. And he goes, Ronnie, we don't do that anymore. You got to sing it live. My heart froze. I was like, oh my God, don't tell me that. He said, but we got cue cards. Well, that was back in the day when they held cue cards up below the the camera and above, and I said, okay. He said, when that red light comes on, there's 80 million people going to be watching you. And I went, oh my God, don't tell me that. But if you Google me on American Bandstand, I never missed a note. I never missed a lick. And so Elvis was hanging out with me on The King Is Gone. So Dick Clark and I, we became friends till he passed away. From that moment, he called me up a few weeks later and he said, I'm doing a movie about Elvis Presley's life, starring Kurt Russell. I said, you talking about that guy in those Disney movies? Yeah. He goes, yes, but you need to see his transformation. I'm going to send it to you. He sent it to me and the transformation was unbelievable. I mean, Kurt became Elvis. And I said, okay, I'll do it. I didn't really want to do it because everybody was tagging me as an Elvis impersonator. Jumpsuit, black hair, sideburns. And I was trying to get away from that, but I did it. So glad I did. 38 songs. Kurt Russell was nominated for an Emmy. I never will forget this. He goes, Ronnie, Elvis made me a star. I said, Kurt, you were already a star in those Disney movies. He said, John Carpenter produced that movie. And the next movie he produced as well, Escape from New York. And they paid me $20 million. And Elvis made me a star. I said, I understand. And so that's when, right after that, Priscilla called me and we did that movie, Elvis and Me. And then I did Elvis and the Beauty Queen starring Don Johnson, Miami Vice.
Really?
He don't need to play Elvis, trust me.
I hadn't seen that one. I wasn't aware that was
Elvis and the
that.
Beauty Queen, he don't need to do that.
Yeah.
And then I did Elvis Meets Nixon. I have done 12 movies being Elvis Presley's voice. Have I been blessed?
Yeah.
I
and,
mean,
and did it start with that love for Elvis that kind of got you into the charts and all this and on a bigger platform?
The King Is Gone,
Yeah.
you know, so I did that. And then that started that. And then I did Older Women. And if you listen to Older Women and watching girls go by and you're going to ruin my bad reputation.
That is my favorite one. I'm sorry. I love it.
And then if you listen to You Made a Wanted Man of Me, and I'm bringing it to you personally. And then Unchained Melody from the movie Ghost. So if you listen to those records, that's me. That's Ronnie McDowell. But I have all these influences. Everybody draws from everywhere. It doesn't matter who you are. Do you know who Hank Williams' mentor was and who his hero was? He even had a hero. Jimmy Rogers.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. The singing brakeman. Do you know who George Jones's hero was? I told you a little earlier.
Hank Williams?
That's right. Mm-hmm. So we all have heroes and we draw from, and I have so many. Wow. When I was a little kid, I was 7 years old and I heard this voice. Now imagine me at 7 trying to do this. I said, hello, Dolly, this is Louis, Dolly. It's so nice to see you back where you belong. Yeah. So when I was 7, I was trying to sound like everybody. Not long ago, I got this phone call from Ferlin Husky. Yeah. And Ferlin goes, son, I want you to come and sing Gone for my induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Hi, darling.
I'll tell you.
And so I said, Ferlin, you really want me to do that? And he goes, yes, son, I love your version of Gone. I said, well, Ferlin, when I was a kid, I was trying to sound just like you, singing that song. Little did I know the Jordanaires were on that record. Miss Millie Kirkham singing the high part, who I worked with for 20 years. And so I got to the Country Music Hall of Fame and Ferlin sitting on the front row with tubes in his nose, in his arms, just before he passed away. Yeah. And I said, now all the audience was Barbara Mandrell, everybody in the music industry. And I said, now y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all what, I'm gonna sing this song the way I heard it when I was a kid. I'm gonna sing it like Ferlin. And Jordanaires were over here and Miss Millie. And I went, since you've gone. And I jumped down off of the stage, and I jumped down with Ferlin, and me and him sang that song together.
Oh, my God.
And that's one of the most precious moments of my life. And and he passed away right after that.
Yeah.
So then again, have I been blessed?
Yeah, you've been blessed. You're so gifted, though. I mean, I've seen you in concert and on stage, and I find it hard to fathom how some people call themselves entertainers. Just getting up there on stage and talking at the crowd or singing, that's not an entertainer. You are an entertainer.
Well,
he gets up there, he knows his audience. He can feel what they're feeling. He draws them in, and you're so multifaceted and talented in all the different voices and styles you can do. And I'm telling you what, this guy earns his money. You work that stage,
Well,
you're all
thank
over
you.
the place. It's just
Well,
amazing. You are an entertainer.
Well, you know what this is called? The entertainment business.
I'm
And it's
telling
called
you.
show business. And you have
Yes.
to take care of the show and the business. Now, in my 40 years, I'm going to tell y'all this. This is the God's truth. In my 40 years, I have made over $70 million. The problem is, I didn't take care of the business part of it. How come I don't have 10% of that or 20%? But all of us were like that. We just thought it was going to last forever. And unfortunately, you know, we all do that. I don't have to tell you, you were with Sha Na Na.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They survived.
Oh, I know. Hey, I did a show with y'all up in Ohio, a festival. I love Sha Na Na.
Did you
a
do the
very
Bowser
fun
part? I
Oh,
could see him putting
you know,
it on.
you gotta do that.
I could see him doing it. I just knew it. I just knew it. That is amazing to me. But it seems like your generation did music because you loved it and it was in your heart. In
Oh,
your
it's
soul.
still
You
in
could
my
feel
heart.
it.
Yeah.
And now I think some people do it just for the money. You know? I think it's more
I
of
don't
a
do
business.
it for the money. You know, I just wrote a new song I wrote it for Willie Nelson called The Happy Things in Life Are Not Things. The happy things in life are not things. And it's not.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about.
Right.
You know what it's about? Being here with you and you and you and you and you and you. That's what it's about.
And
It ain't
dogs
about
that you love,
money.
too. And dogs. Yeah.
Yes, and dogs.
Yeah.
We need to write a song. We're giving you a song idea apparently right here. I think Brian's trying to feed it to you.
You called her darling.
Yes, and I love
she is,
dogs.
yeah.
I got out of Vietnam. I'm a 3-term combat
Now,
veteran.
here's another
Vietnam
chapter of the
War.
Ronnie McDowell story. All right.
I
wanna
landed
hear
in
about this.
Saigon October the 26th, 1968. I was barely 18. I joined the Navy because I didn't want to go to Vietnam. So when I get out of boot camp, I got a big old manila envelope, Vietnam. Oh, God. So I landed in Saigon. But you know what? I want to tell y'all this story. True story. I learned really quick. So this lieutenant walked up to me and he goes, so what do you want to do, son? And I said, I'm a sign painter. I'm a painter. And I was at that early age. And he said, so I need a sign on my disbursement door. Well, that was about, disbursement is, finances and all that. So I painted a gold miner and a rainbow and a pot of gold at the end of it. So he said, you take your time. You got 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, he goes, well, son, if you can do this, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a barber. He goes, you mean you can cut hair? Well, I never cut hair in my life. But I heard that was the easiest job. So this is a God's truth. So the guy that was running the barbershop, he goes, Ronnie, there's a job in the officer's barbershop. I will have you cutting the officer's hair in 2 weeks. It ain't that hard.
Clippers?
No. The officers, they didn't want their hair buzzed. They wanted a nice, clean cut. But he taught me, well, I'm an artist. So in 2 weeks, I was in the officer's barbershop. Now think about this. All the pilots, I was cutting the admiral's hair. Guess who the admiral was? He came into my barbershop one day and he goes, well, I got to go get my son out of jail. I said, why, sir? He goes, Well, he did something in Miami that he shouldn't have done on stage. I said, what did he do? And he goes, Ronnie, you don't know who I am, do you? And I said, yes, sir, you're Admiral Morrison. He said, you don't know who my son is, do you? And I said, no, sir. And he said, have you ever heard of Jim Morrison? I said, are you trying to tell me your son sings with the Doors? He goes, that's my son. He's done something he shouldn't have done. And he went and got him out of jail in Miami. 2 weeks later, he come back and he goes, well, I got him out of jail, but he's now in Paris. But that's where Jim Morrison passed away, in Paris.
Yeah. So that's your connection to rock and roll.
Now, wait
Jim
a minute.
Morrison's
That
dead.
ain't the end of that
Okay,
story.
I want to hear it.
So, think about this. In 1957, Elvis Presley and Colonel Tom Parker are driving through Arizona going to Hollywood to do the movie Loving You. Now, here's my connection. And so, Elvis wanted to see a ghost town. And so they pull into this ghost town. Colonel Tom Parker goes, well, I'm going to go in the saloon, son, to have a drink. And you do what you want to do. So Elvis is in this church in this ghost town. And here's this 14-year-old kid. And Elvis, he walks in and this kid goes, Elvis Presley, I got all of your records, man. You're the king. He said, would you meet my parents? And Elvis said, well, yeah, I'll meet them. So they walk out in the street and here come this guy and this lady. And this kid goes, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, Elvis Presley. Of course, they knew who it was. And here comes Colonel Tom Parker in this pink Cadillac. He goes, Elvis, we need to get to Hollywood, son. We got to do this movie. And so they drive off. That 14-year-old kid was Jim Morrison.
Really?
That's the God's truth.
Oh, my gosh.
What a small
And did you hear that
world.
from the Admiral?
That's in Reader's Digest.
Amazing.
That's great. That's great.
So there's my connection. So I'm cutting Admiral Morrison's hair. You know? Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It is.
Amazing.
Such a small world.
Yeah.
And it's like you had signs, knowing that what you were going to do all along leading up to this great career.
That ain't the end of that story.
Hey, we need to continue this story. We're going to be right back with more of Ronnie McDowell on Studio 23 Nashville.
Straighten up and find right.
Now available, Come Out Swingin', the new CD by the Brian Cumming Jazz Quartet. Come Out Swingin' is available at Studio23Nashville.com and all major digital retailers.
Sing, come out swinging.
Come Out Swingin' by the Brian Cumming Jazz Quartet. Get yours today. All of us here at Studio 23 Nashville would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Visit Hickman County, the Hickman County Department of Tourism. World Music Nashville. Expedia Cruise Ship Centers, Nashville West. And the Law Office of Lavelle Glanton.
Watching girls go by, me, oh my, what a lovely way to spend the afternoon. Watching girls go by, that's how I spend my time, picking out the ones I'd like to make love to. When I was just a boy, I put away my toys. I had been affected by the opposite sex, and I had found my mouth began to water. Those sweet young things were better. New pastime had turned my head around. Watching girls go by, me, oh my, what a lovely way to spend the afternoon. Watching girls go by, that's how I spend my time. But you're the only woman I'm gonna make love to. A little older, little tamed, but it's still the same old game. I am still attracted to those sexy lasses all around. But I found what I've been needing, I don't just stand there dreaming, I'm just comparing them to who I found. Watching girls go by, hey, me, oh my, lovely way to spend the afternoon. Watching girls go by, that's how I spend my time. But you're the only woman I'm gonna make love to. Watching girls go by, me, oh my, what a lovely way to spend the afternoon. Watching girls go by, that's how I spend my time. But you're the only woman I'm gonna make love to. Yes, you're the only woman I'm gonna make love to. Wow!
We got through it.
Good
One
job.
more time. Thank you, Ronnie.
And we're in Vietnam, where Ronnie was in the Navy, stationed in Saigon or on a ship near Saigon, or
I was in the combat zone. I was on the USS Hancock, and I never will forget it. And the reason why is because we took a break from fighting, and we had a variety show. And it was me, now get this, I remember the guys' names, Joe Hedgepeth and Chuck Nitchie. And we decided we was going to join the variety show. I had never sang in front of anybody in my life. I was so shy. I was so terribly, painfully shy. Oh. And we decided we was going to join this variety show, and I played the guitar, and they did too. So the first song we did was this. Well, when my blue moon turns to gold again, when the rainbow turns the clouds away, well, you know, someday we're gonna live again, sweetheart. And my blue moon again, they're gonna turn to gold. That's the first song I ever sang in front of anybody. And it was 7,000 sailors.
Oh my gosh.
And so before I walked up on that stage, it was an elevator that they took the planes up. And this old man grabbed my arm and he goes, son, where are you going to stand? Right there? Elvis Presley stood there in 1956. And I said, yeah, right. He goes, no, that's right, son. He stood right there on the Milton Berle show in April of 1956 in San Diego. I thought he was out of his gourd, you know.
Yeah.
Later on, I found out that was the truth. So the first place I ever sang in my life was where Elvis stood on the Milton Berle show. Now, how weird is that?
It is, yeah.
I mean, my life just keeps revolving around Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I love it.
Us too.
you do an awful lot of other things too.
I have been blessed.
Yeah, you were talking about the art. Like when you first got into the Navy and went over to Vietnam and they asked you and you said you're an artist and a painter.
Yes.
You are an artist. You are
I am an artist.
Extraordinary painter.
And you know what? I've got a 5-year contract with Disney Fine Arts. Mm-hmm. I'm a Disney painter. Now, who would have ever dreamed? There was only 3 channels when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We all know that. But every Sunday night, Walt Disney would come into our living rooms, and here's what we would hear. The world is a carousel of color, color. How would I have ever dreamed that I would be a Walt Disney painter? But I am.
And what do you mean by Walt Disney painter? Do you paint scenes for some of their exhibits? Do you help out with the cartoons, the animation they put together?
You know what? I do. For example, I have one of them here tonight, and I did that, Walt getting on a train to go to Hollywood to become what he was. And then I did Donald Duck, just for example. Donald Duck, you know Donald Duck, and he's standing and he's looking at a real duck, like, And then I did Mickey Mouse and Oswald the Rabbit. Now, y'all may not know this, but Oswald was actually Walt's first creation.
Really?
Yes, it wasn't Mickey Mouse, it was Oswald the Rabbit. Disney has just now got back Oswald the Rabbit. So I did half Mickey and half Oswald, and it's amazing how much the similarities are together. Let's see, I've done Johnny Depp and all of the characters that he's played for Disney,
Oh, I bet that's
which is a
interesting.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are these on display somewhere for everybody
You know
to
what they
see?
do? They put them on. They do prints, of course, but they put them on plates, cups. You know, they do all that
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, they're
Very
very
nice.
practiced at marketing.
Yes.
And so merchandising.
Yeah. So.
Well, this one that you referred to, depicting the moment when Walt was getting on the train in Kansas City to head off to Hollywood, that's a very accurate and precise, it's almost like a photograph of Walt Disney at that train station, and it's historically accurate. You did a lot of research.
Well, my son, Tyler Dean, who's the biggest Walt Disney fan on the planet, he knew all this. I didn't know this. He said Walt Disney left at 8 o'clock, April the 23rd, 1923. Well, what is this show called?
Studio 23.
So
Nashville.
how ironic
April
is this?
23rd.
I know.
Now get this. That ain't the end of that story. So Walt is getting on the train, California Limited, to go to California to become what he was. He didn't have a dime to his name, but he had a camera. So he went around to all the neighborhood and he took pictures of these families and got enough money, because he said, if I go to California, I want a first class ticket. He got enough money to get a first class ticket, and he did. But he had to borrow the suit. He didn't have a suit, but he borrowed the suit. And we depicted that at 8 o'clock in the morning at the Kansas City Union Station to go to California to become what he was. And in that painting, there are 23 hidden Mickeys.
Oh, how fun. I love paintings like that where you kind of have to search and really study. Oh,
Did you start the painting intending to put hidden Mickeys in it?
I did not, but my youngest son, Tyler Dean, said, Dad, 23. Walt was 23. It's 1923.
Yeah.
Put 23 hidden Mickeys in here. And he did, and I painted it. And Disney loved the idea that nobody had ever depicted this moment.
Yeah.
It's like starting the first of the year, a friend of mine called me not long ago, and he goes, hey, Ronnie, you need to paint a picture of Gladys Presley in 1946 at the Tupelo hardware store buying Elvis Presley. He was 11 years old, his first guitar. He didn't want a guitar, he wanted a .22 rifle. She goes, I don't think so. Shoot your eye out, son. But she bought him a guitar. And this painting is, nobody's ever depicted that. Why? I guess it went over everybody's head. But think about this. If you see that painting, and we're going to call it That Magic Moment. Isn't that cool?
perfect.
Yes.
Has it been painted yet? Or
No,
it's just been,
we're getting ready to do
commissioned?
it.
I know you've got the one with George Jones.
Oh, yeah.
On the
Yeah.
lawnmower.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so great. Somebody needed to capture that. And then I have one of your paintings in my home.
Which one?
It's the one with Elvis Presley and Clark Gable together.
Oh, I love that. Tale of Two Kings.
Yeah, absolutely.
King of Hollywood, King of rock and roll.
yeah.
And I love Clark Gable. What a
Oh
history.
my gosh,
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah. Now, were you trained? Did you go to some school to train this? mean,
I
you're-
did not.
Gosh.
The painting in 1956 of first grade, my school teacher wanted us to draw something, so I painted a big old red fire engine, and that was the first time that I realized that I could draw or paint. And on her deathbed, not too long ago, I said, Miss Reddick, Paula Reddick, I said, is there any way you still have that drawing I did in 1956? She goes, yes, I do. I said, Miss Reddick, I would give anything to have that. And she goes, I will not give that to you. You're famous, and I'm going to give that to my children. And she wouldn't let me have it. But I'd give my eye teeth to just see it, but I haven't seen it.
Wonderful.
Have you talked to other professional painters about technique or anything? Or
I have not, but I have watched, and I have learned.
you sure have.
Norman Rockwell, Thomas Kincaid.
I see a lot of both of those now that you brought that up. I love Thomas Kincaid. You use light real well in your paintings.
Well, guess what? Remember I told you about songs and singers and artists? Well, we draw.
from different
Same
ones,
thing.
yeah.
I draw from all these wonderful painters. And if you look at my paintings, it's Rockwell, it's Thomas Kincaid, some Monet. I could go on and on. I love all these wonderful artists. And
But you have the skill to depict things in great detail.
I love realism.
Yeah.
I want, when people see my paintings, that it's like you could walk into that painting. Look at that painting over there.
is.
It's like you could walk into that moment.
It's like a movie or something, and living in the snow globe or something. You're going in,
You know,
it is so
like
amazing.
it's like a window
Yeah.
that you're looking into that moment. And that's what I love. I love realism. Not that I don't love Monet and all those wonderful
Impressionists
artists.
and
I love those folks, but I just love realism. Like you can see that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll continue. We've got some more with Ronnie McDowell. He's got some amazing stories and such amazing talent coming up next on Studio 23 Nashville.
All of us here at Studio 23 Nashville would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Visit Hickman County, the Hickman County Department of Tourism. World Music Nashville. Expedia Cruise Ship Centers, Nashville West. And the Law Office of Lavelle Glanton. Hickman County, Tennessee. It feels a lot like home, or how home should feel. Come by, sit a spell. Soak in the goodness that inspired Minnie Pearl to write about this special place. Visit Hickman County, Tennessee's hidden treasure.
Straighten up and find a right.
Now available, Come Out Swingin', the new CD by the Brian Cumming Jazz Quartet. Come Out Swingin' is available at Studio23Nashville.com and all major digital retailers.
Sing, come out swinging.
Come Out Swingin' by the Brian Cumming Jazz Quartet. Get yours today.
So, Ronnie, we got a song you wrote called
did.
Crazy Crush.
Not that long ago, about my first girlfriend, as a matter of fact.
You wrote it not long ago.
I wrote it about a couple of months ago. Yeah.
And you feel like you were able to capture the feeling of being 15 and just having these overpowering feelings for...
Yeah, and I've been a songwriter for so long, and I wrote this song. It just came to me like most songs do. I wait till they come to me.
Yeah.
But when this one came to me, I knew it was special because in 2 days it had 20,000 hits. But the reason why is because everybody has a first crush.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, you know, you write something that relates to the masses, and they respond to it.
What sets it apart from most songs and most of your songs is that the chorus has this kind of, let's go up in the clouds. You know, you just let your voice go soaring when you talk about the chorus just has all this release in it.
Well, and the reason why is because in 1971, I'm in San Diego.
Yeah.
I had a little Volkswagen. I turned the radio on, and I heard this Freddie Hart song, Easy Loving, and I went, what is this? And nobody had ever said sexy in a song before.
Yeah.
And Freddie had this humongous hit record in pop and in country.
Yeah.
And
he had some nice high falsetto.
same thing.
Yeah.
And so that affected me. So that's why I put that in this song.
Well, if I get inspired to sing a little falsetto harmony, you will pardon me.
Would you please do that?
I'm going to try, okay?
All right.
I know we're in the key of C. Let's get going.
Okay.
Is that about
Yep, perfect. Hello. It's so good to see you again. The last time that I saw you, hey, we were more than just friends, and I know It's been a long, long time, but there's not a day that passes by that you're not on my mind. I still got this crazy crush on you, and you still give me chill bumps the way you used to do. I can't fake it, I can't shake it, no matter how I try. I got this crazy crush on you, girl, no lie.
Let the steel player.
Oh, do it, buddy. I love the steel. Hey, you love him, and it's so plain to see. Why can't I accept it that you and I weren't meant to be? And I know that it's been a long, long time, but you'll always live inside my heart. I just can't let you go. I still got this crazy crush on you, and you still give me chill bumps the way you used to do. I can't deny it, can't escape it, no matter how I try. I still got this crazy crush on you, girl, no lie. I still got this crazy crush, and will till I die. I love that. Wow, good job,
Thank you
man.
so much, man. We could be a little.
Feast your eyes on this. Is this not amazing? Some of the artwork from Ronnie McDowell for Walt Disney. And
Yep.
this is the painting we said had 23 little Mickey Mouses.
23 hidden Mickeys in here, and I dare you to find them all because it's tough to do. I don't even remember where all they were. But I think I could find them if I really worked at it, and I'll tell you why. Because this painting was so all-consuming, and this is the painting that got me the Disney deal. I went out and I signed the deal, and I stood in front of, I still got the contract, and I stood in front of Walt and Mickey, that bronze statue with my contract. Because what an unbelievable thing to, to do that. And so I'm doing this, and I'm doing my songwriting and my singing and my career that I have absolutely loved. And how many people can say this? When I was 3 years old, walking around the house singing "Your Cheating Heart," and I said, this is what I want to do. My granddaughter, for example, she's getting ready to graduate college, and I said, so what are you going to do? What do you want to be? I don't know, Grandpa. And I'm thinking, I don't get that. Because when I was 3, I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So
and you've done it all of your life. Yeah.
I have.
I'm amazed. How long did this take you?
This took me, I'm going to be totally honest with you, about 3 months. But now think about this. I have to go out on the road on Saturday and on the weekends. Conway Twitty said, son, if you wanted to be in this business a long time, work on the weekends, stay at home during the week. And that's been my philosophy that I have adopted. Conway taught me so much. And that's
made
what
for
I
a
do.
wonderful family, too. You've got some amazing sons you
I'm
raised as a
telling
result.
you,
I'm telling
my
you.
son is my drummer. He's Ronnie Dean. And when he's not playing with Daddy, he plays with the Jimmy Buffett Band. How cool can that be?
On drums.
Yes, on drums.
That's a nice gig.
And my youngest son, Tyler, is the one that does all of this I call it the work draft. He's the Imagineer, I'm the painter. And that's what we do.
Well, it's really a treat to have this. This is one of the finest paintings I've ever seen. I can't imagine the skill involved in depicting these things in so much detail. And all right, we've got
And then
more.
somebody like me
Oh.
turns to George Jones on the lawnmower. I love this.
I don't know how close you can get. You
Bring it
wanna
on
know?
down.
There's so much detail here. Now, this is a testament to your friendship with George.
Well, George called me and asked me to do that. And he goes, now here's what happened. Verbatim. Hey, Ronnie, I want you to paint a picture of me getting a DUI on my lawnmower.
Did that happen?
Yes, and as soon as he said that, I saw it. And so I painted it Christmas Day.
Oh, God.
He called me up and he goes, son, you got my painting done? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, bring it over. And I said, well, George, it's Christmas Day. He said, well, what better day? And so I got to spend Christmas Day with my hero, George.
Yeah.
So when I took the veil off of this original, he stared at that for 30 minutes. And I said, George, you forgot to tell me what you were drinking. I put Jack Daniels in the cup holder. What were you drinking? He goes, well, son, I was drinking a little of all of it.
So that Jack Daniels is standing in for everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, you know, a lot of people know the story about this painting, but a lot of people don't. But when George went to the liquor store on his lawnmower, the police come back to the house. Tammy Wynette was cooking supper. They knocked on the door. And she went to the door and they said, Miss Wynette, we have your husband in the patrol car. And she goes, well, that's impossible. He's in the basement. I took his keys away from him and they said, well, we hate to tell you this, but he went to the liquor store on his lawnmower.
Because she had taken the keys to the car.
That's right.
Isn't
So
that
this is a true story. Now, the reason I'm proud of this painting is because he's one of my icons. He's my hero. Second show I ever did was with George Jones, Tammy Wynette, and the Gatlin brothers in Peoria, Illinois, at the mosque. The very second show after the king is gone.
Yeah.
I did my thing, the Gatlins, Tammy. She walked out on stage, right? She goes, well, I hate to tell y'all this, but George can't be here tonight. He's down at a little bar with some Germans having a big old time. He didn't show up. So the next day I get on a plane to go to Atlanta. I'm at the back of the plane. I walk and there's George and I said, hey, George, where was you at last night? And he goes, sit down, son. And we talked and we bonded till he passed away.
Gosh, amazing. Where can we get these paintings? Can we purchase them?
RonnieMcDowell.com.
Okay.
That's
Just
it.
go to the website.
Yep. And by the way, this painting now hangs on 2nd Avenue at George's Museum, right above the lawnmower that he got the DUI on. Now,
Classic.
isn't that cool?
And was this an actual liquor store, the last show?
Oh, that's on Dickerson Road in
Okay.
Nashville.
Okay.
It's still there.
Okay, and no paid promotion was involved.
Yes,
in this
yes,
display,
I'm
right?
But I
telling
mean,
you.
isn't that cool?
Hey, and you know, we were mentioning RonnieMcDowell.com. I guess you can find the new music there because you have an amazing song that you're working on that should be
Oh, wow.
available
I
soon
cannot
for
wait
us.
till you
So,
hear
yeah,
this song.
I'm telling you,
I swear.
it's a mega hit. So,
It is. It really is. And Conway gave me this song.
This shows your relationship to the king.
And you know what? This is a very special painting to me because I never laid eyes on Elvis. But who is ever forever grateful to Elvis? Me. Now, this is a metaphor. I'm 26. Elvis is 21 there.
Oh, okay.
But I'm thanking Elvis, and that's why it's forever grateful. When that record hit, This King Is Gone sold 1 million records in a week. 1 week. My mother had 10 of us. She worked 3 jobs to take care of us. That afternoon, it was a Friday afternoon, when that record exploded here in Nashville. Do you know this? It exploded. My mother was mopping a floor at Pure Truck Stop in Franklin, Kentucky. I walked in and I said, "Mother, take your apron off. You don't have to work no more." She goes, "Son, can't you see I'm working?" And this truck driver was sitting at the counter and he goes, "Georgia May, don't you know what's going on with that boy?" And she goes, "No, what?" And I said, "Mother, come out to the car." Turned the radio on and my song, this song right here, "The King Is Gone," was on every station. She never worked again till she died. And that was the best part of this record, and that's why I'm saying thank you, Elvis.
Yeah.
You know, he did the same thing for his mama. Yeah. You know, same exact thing. So, you know, if anybody owes a debt of gratitude to Elvis Presley, it's Ronnie McDowell.
Friend, you sure have expressed it well here in that song, of course, but in this
Well,
painting.
thank you.
Boy, it's so well done. You could have had a career as a painter, you know, an album design. I mean, this all kinds of. I mean,
Well,
the
thank you.
possibilities are pretty explosive.
Pretty endless.
Well,
with
you know
Ronnie
what?
McDowell.
I'm not totally responsible. My youngest son, Tyler, puts all of this
And the
together,
concept
and then I
art.
paint it.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderful thing
Well,
that
a
I get to
team
work with my children.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
Really, you have been blessed all the way around.
I'm
Ronnie
telling
McDowell,
you.
you've got to go to his website. You've got to check out some of his amazing shows, his music, his paintings. And if you want him at a party, you quote movies wonderfully. He is so much fun.
I love movies.
We can play Name That Tune,
Oh, wow.
Name That Movie. Give
Hey,
us a line.
let me tell you this. Everywhere I go and people go, "Could I have a name, please?" And I go, "Clark Griswold."
Vacation. You have a great sense of humor. I love him. Ronnie McDowell, you are the best. Thank you for stopping by Studio
Hey,
23
thank you.
Nashville.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Great to have you here.
Older women are beautiful lovers, said older women. They understand, yes they do. I've been around some and I have discovered that older women know just how to please a man. Everybody seems to love those younger women from 18 on up to 25. I love them too, but I'm telling you, learning how to really love takes a little time. Older women are beautiful lovers, I said older women. They understand, yes they do. I've been around, and I have discovered that older women know just how to please a man. Baby, don't you worry about growing older. Those young girls ain't got one thing on you. And it takes some living to get good at giving. Giving love is just where you could teach them a thing or two. Older women are beautiful lovers, said older women. They understand, yes they do. I've been around, I have discovered that older women know just how to please a man. Older women are beautiful lovers, said older women. They understand, you know they do. I've been around, and I have discovered that older women know just how to please a man. Older women are better, and older men are grateful.